Home is behind the wall ahead, and there are many paths to tread through shadow to the edge of night.
And Warner Brothers, New Line, and MGM? That's like half the studios!
CinemaSins logos to waste time cliche.
Here's Smaug, pissed off at the dwarves, taking everything out on the townspeople of Lake Town for some reason.
Didn't you see the last movie? Smaug stated that he figured out that Lake Town helped the dwarves break in here and attempt to kill him, so he wants to burn them down because of it. And shouldn't that be a sin for desolation of Smaug anyway?
So 3 more passes and this town is done, right?
Only 3? I don't know about that.
I'm glad the mayor Dick isn't getting away with the gold, but you're telling me the good guy prisoner dude had a window on only one side but still somehow knew exactly when to drop the makeshift noose for the passing boat? Also, was this Bard's plan when he started making this rope? I'll ease it out the window and then that fat-ass mayor guy will run right into it. And he'll get pinned to the boat and it'll rip out the wall of my cell. Easy peasy. If this wasn't his plan, what was the plan?
I'm pretty sure Bard is smart enough to realize that the master would come down this lake when he made the rope. But I don't think he planned to wrap it around the master specifically, at least around the boat so he could rip the wall off. It is full of heavy gold.
After clearly devastating the town, Smaug continues his assault on the people who did him no wrong so that Bard has a chance to find his video game weak spot.
No, they did do him wrong. They were a part of the dwarves' quest to break into the Lonely Mountains and kill him. Weren't you listening?
Meanwhile, this giant tower, which, if I were a dragon, I'd have destroyed immediately just for its pleasure to burn value, continues to go unburned. It's almost like Bard is in a video game. The dragon has several powers that could end this now, but decides to give him chance after chance.
Who are you that would stand against me?
I don't know, man, but seems like you could just kill him by the time I snap my fingers. Why isn't this working?
You cannot save him from the fire. He will burn.
Burn him already!
Okay, so all these sins are essentially saying the same thing. That Smaug hasn't killed Bard by now, and it's weird that he isn't dead already. I agree, but he had to say it over and over, and you know how we feel about that here.
Yay, he killed the dragon.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Dragon poetically falls on the town mayor who was trying to slip off with all the gold.
Narration.
I sure am glad they spent all this time on this love story. It turned this B-list dwarf into like only the 3rd dwarf I can remember in this movie.
Again, agreed. No notes.
Raged.
We expect this bullshit now, Ex Machina.
I'm impressed you waited 3 movies to finally misuse Deus Ex Machina, but you don't get points for waiting that long.
Where's the master?
Halfway down the Anduin.
How is it that random townsfolk number 1 saw Bard slay the dragon, but absolutely no one was around to see the dragon fall on the master of Lake Town? You mean to tell me that there are several people in the background here that didn't notice an upteen-ton dragon falling on the master?
What a stupid sin. Did you see how gigantic Smaug was? I'm pretty sure his size would have killed them too.
Will nobody think of the children?
I'm pretty sure this is a Simpsons episode.
Arbitrary TV reference.
This dwarf notices something he can't possibly notice, hundreds of feet below, and at an angle that is not conducive to noticing things. Just so they can run down and see how crazy Thorin has become.
No, I'm pretty sure you could have seen Thorin from this angle.
You might smell a bit of dragon. The women can clean that.
That's racist. And why are you still alive and not in prison?
What prison is there? Didn't Lake Town just get burned down?
Also, did we discount Grima Wormtongue this asshole last movie?
You did not.
What gold is in that mountain is cursed. We will take only what was promised to us.
Because that gold is not cursed.
Even if that gold is cursed, they still need it to rebuild. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Is future Sauron keeping these super powerful wizards alive for some reason?
What do you mean, future Sauron? It literally is Sauron. And what do you mean by these wizards? He only has Gandalf. Radagast went to grab the White Council to come over and help. And he also already sinned the last movie for Sauron keeping Gandalf alive.
Wow, good thing Galadriel decided to show up just when this orc decided he'd had enough of Gandalf being lazy in his cage.
Are you implying this was the perfect time? Because I feel like a better time would have been before Gandalf was even captured.
Sauron introduces himself via the Lord of the Rings masturbation poem.
Jeremy says boner.
Elrond and Saruman apparently have the ability to strike ghosts with their physical weapons. And since these ghosts are the ring wraiths in Lord of the Rings, I don't quite understand where they go after they get hit. Do they become extra ghosts or something? We have just enough power to be scary.
It looks like they just get temporarily taken out and then reformed later. They're already dead, so I don't think they'll be gone by the time Frodo heads for Bree.
Stabbing! Ghost soldiers! Excitement?
Sending one of the coolest scenes in this trilogy.
Literal Eye of Sauron shows up here, making much of the previous trilogy's first movie seem kinda stupid.
Not really though, since Galadriel banishes Sauron from Dol Guldur, and Saruman states that he will deal with him. While I'm sure they're still afraid that Sauron is around, at least he's not gathering power here like he was.
Go back to the void from whence you came!
Phew, glad that little problem with Sauron is over.
Technically, no, since Sauron already sent an army of orcs to Erebor to fight 3 armies.
Without the Ring of Power, Sauron can never again...
So, you knew about the Ring of Power and knew his name was Sauron here, but Gandalf still needs to stop years later upon reaching for the ring to go and research what the the ring is and shit? F you, Peter Jackson. You didn't even watch your own goddamn movies.
Neither did you, apparently, even though you sinned those movies. Gandalf already knew what the One Ring was, but he didn't realize that Bilbo was carrying it for 60 years. There are a bunch of magical rings, so Bilbo could have grabbed any of them. Gandalf needed to make sure that it was Sauron's ring.
He must be hunted down and destroyed once and for all.
Without the Ring of Power, Sauron can never again hold dominion over Middle-earth.
Okay, good enough for me. I won't follow up with any inquiries until it's too late.
Saruman does have a point though. The whole reason the plot of Lord of the Rings happens is because they had found out where the ring was, and only then did Sauron begin to take over Middle-earth. Saruman also doesn't know that Bilbo currently has it. From his perspective, it's still lost. What are the odds that Sauron would find it in this giant world?
My people also have a claim upon the riches in that mountain.
Well, that's you, the elves, and the dwarves. Only 2 more armies to go before we have a movie that matches its title.
Okay. Oh, that's it? I expected more for this sin. You didn't explain what's wrong with the movie, you just said your thoughts out loud. We have a cliche for that.
Begone! Ere our arrows fly!
Okay, maybe this is argumentative, but isn't this a clear case where the non-Thorin dwarves could talk some sense into this guy? And remove him from power if he continues to have a treasure boner that clouds his thoughts?
Yes, it is argumentative. Thorin has been corrupted by the treasure. There's no talking him out of it. Some of the dwarves tried to, and it didn't work. Also, Jeremy says boner.
You know what Peter Jackson doesn't do enough of? Weapons handing off and gearing up for war montages.
That's one of the best parts of action movies.
The Arkenstone. One of them has taken it.
Why is Thorin so certain one of his fellow dwarves have taken the Arkenstone, and his paranoia hasn't focused on Bilbo, the guy who was in the treasure room longer than anyone? Yeah, he's underestimating it, but seems like a guy who is out of his mind would accuse everybody of stealing, especially a burglar.
While Thorin is being driven mad, it seems like the one thing that hasn't affected him is his affection for Bilbo. He came to respect him at the end of Unexpected Journey. He stated in this film that he trusts him very much, so that's why he doesn't suspect Bilbo to have taken it.
This is the gateway to reclaiming the lands of Angmar in the north.
Sounds important. Too bad I don't know what it means. Earlier, Legolas was talking about how important this Gundabad place was when it came to Angmar. Now the Lonely Mountain is the most important place again. I've heard so many names of so many places at this point, just get to the fighting already.
Cool, but mispronouncing Gundabad.
Don't you mean Middle Earth Eaters? Also, he's referring to the wereworms, which, honestly, I'd rather see how they negotiated to ally with these things rather than them being a surprise later.
CinemaSins, ladies and gentlemen, the channel that wants movies to ruin their surprises, therefore give them less impact when they happen later on. Next thing you'll tell me is that they'll say Luke should have found out that Vader was his father at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. Oh, wait, I guess he kind of did that.
This is the halfling who stole the keys to my dungeons from under the nose of my guards.
Yeesh.
You know what? If this series has one saving grace, it's probably Martin Freeman. I'll take a sin off for this guy, mainly because every time he's on screen, these movies are elevated.
Agreed.
Also, let's not forget the very reason why this whole thing happened. Gandalf met with Thorin and told him to retake the mountain, and his vague reasoning was that darker minds would turn their heads toward it, forgetting the fact that everyone was so scared of this damn dragon that no one dared go near it. And the idea of Sauron's return was not even considered possible at the time. I don't know what darker minds Gandalf was thinking about, but none of those assholes could have killed the dragon. It took a well-placed arrow in a rumored weak spot to take that fucker down. But Gandalf was worried enough that he started all this shit. Never once did he seem concerned about Thorin getting dragon sickness, but oh well, gold is evil. I think we all learned something here today.
So that was a lot. I get what Birdman is saying when he accuses Jeremy of making a gish gallop, because it's difficult to respond to sins like these when there's so much said. But the first thing I want to point out is that Gandalf's reasoning for Thorin's quest wasn't just about darker minds wanting the Lonely Mountain. In that same flashback that Jeremy is referring to at the beginning of Desolation, Gandalf also brings up that someone wants Thorin dead. He even showed him a message that confirms that, and it was written in black speech. So if Thorin unites the dwarf armies and retakes the mountain, he'd be better protected from whoever was trying to kill him, since they didn't know it was Azog at that point. Also, the reason Gandalf wasn't worried about Thorin getting dragon sickness is because he assumed he'd enter the mountain with them. Remember, he didn't plan on going to Dol Guldur until about halfway through the trip, so he assumed he'd be with them the whole time. He could have prevented Thorin from getting corrupted if he was there.
I will have
Dwarf reinforcements show up at dawn too, making the Lonely Mountain the same distance from everywhere an army might come from.
Are you sure about that? Because the dwarf and orc armies arrive at different times, so they aren't the same distance away.
Basically, the Battle of the Five Armies is a recreation on a much larger scale of the Anchorman fight in Anchorman.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Oh, come on!
Character says what everyone in the audience is thinking out loud.
You mean the audience watching these videos? In that case, I agree.
Spinning! Swords!
Hold on, didn't you earlier ask for the movie to get to the fighting already? Now you're bored by that fighting?
Take them to the Great Hall and barricade the door.
I can't tell you how many times this movie has made me sigh with frustration. Wait, no, yes I can. 172 and counting.
How is this an example of that?
Without this hearing the voices and the dialogue we just f***ing saw in the last scene, the audience would be totally clueless as to Thorin's state of mind.
Pretty funny that Jeremy is singing this movie for holding his hand, as if that's not exactly what he wants in every movie he watches.
That's pretty cool, I guess. But where did they hang this bell from to smash down the barricade?
Jeremy sings something he likes cliche.
There's too many of these buggers, Thorin. I hope you've got a plan.
Well, no, I just figured your emotional strength would carry the day.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Raven,
Thorin is up there. And Philly and Gilly, they're all up there.
Oh no, Thorin and the others might only just now be in danger.
Well, yeah, they were just told by Legolas that Bolg is bringing another army of orcs, which puts Thorin in even more danger.
How can it be that every orc is worthless except Azog?
Bolg isn't worthless. He put up a good fight twice against friggin' Legolas. Legolas!
God, Bilbo hasn't missed once. This may actually be the least believable thing about this movie, I think.
Yeah, but we know you would have seen the movie if you did miss. You can't have it both ways, Jeremy. This effing laugh.
Fight scene has no tension due to previous trilogy's existence.
What did I say in the last video? I don't remember, just go watch it and see.
Here come the Eagles, still clearly worried about those men and their great bows of yew, which would have shot them down if they brought Gandalf and crew closer to the Lonely Mountain. Can't we just admit they only show up when the story calls for it, and let go of all those stupid reasons why they didn't fly them farther in the first movie? Let the hate flow through you.
Oh, I'm guessing you had comments that explained the whole men and their great bows of yew thing. Good on you for addressing your fans, but there's a little bit more to it than that. As I explained in the first video, the Eagles also didn't want to be anywhere near a mountain with a dragon inside of it. Now, Smaug is dead, and while there's still the bowmen to worry about, they're in the middle of a war now. And I think we can assume Radagast and Beorn talked them into helping in the battle.
Here's one of the trilogy's smartest moments, and we'd maybe even consider taking a sin off for it. But later, Azog is going to be trapped under the ice and drowning and still come back for another attack. So they waste the smart moment in order to do something dumb later. And I think that's worth 2 goddamn sins, goddammit. I bet you thought after we gave the last thing 2 sins because of this, that we wouldn't sin this. But you're wrong. A live Azog is a sinful Azog.
Triple dipping.
The Eagles are here.
Yeah, Bilbo is right. The Eagles are here. Why aren't they using their healing tears to bring Thorin back to life? Oh, you say that's ridiculous? Welcome to how I felt every time someone got saved in the last minute of this movie.
Are you getting eagles mixed up with phoenixes? Because they're both birds? That's racist.
Go north. Find the Dunedain. There's a young ranger amongst them. You should meet him.
No. Look, I'm already giving lots of leeway here that Aragorn is at least 60 in The Lord of the Rings kicking all that ass. But this bullshit right here is an absolutely ludicrous way to connect the 2 movie trilogies. Hey, go find this kid and be his pal. He's gonna be great one day. I know this because I too saw The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Oh, wait.
Actually, if you had seen the Two Towers Extended Edition, you would have seen the scene where Aragorn mentioned he was 87 years old. No, I'm not kidding. He's a Dunedain, and they can live pretty dang long. And while yes, he is only 10 years old at this point in the timeline in the books, something we need to remember is that the Fellowship movie cut the 17-year time gap. So if we remove that, That means Aragorn is only 27 years old in this version of events, more than old enough to meet up with Legolas.
Also, why bother to tell your elf son to go find a human boy? Out of all the places and people to suggest he should spend time, you don't even have to read the books to find this offensive in every way.
Because he's part of Dunedain, who are incredibly powerful rangers.
Besides, in Fellowship, it's not until they get to the Council of Elrond that they even meet. Not one scene in that movie suggests they had a long history together. F me right in the beard.
Yeah, apparently you didn't see Fellowship of the Ring, despite sending that movie. Legolas' first line in that movie was him introducing Aragorn, which implies he already knew him before the Council of Elrond.
Damn, I should have also told him about Frodo. F***. Well, I'm sure he'll meet him someday.
Well, considering Frodo hasn't been born yet...
Look, I haven't been able to find anything confirming that this is Bryan Cranston, but wouldn't it be just like a f***ing movie to put him here for 5 seconds and then pretend he doesn't exist? You know what The Hobbit could have used? Some damn Bryan Cranston, that's what.
And you still would have seen the movie for including a great actor in a bad movie. You always do that.
The borders of the Shire.
Is this a good time to ask whatever happened to Dane, Thorne's cousin? He just kind of disappeared from the movie. He's the new king, right? Oh well.
Wait a minute. How do you know that Dane became the new king? Keep in mind, this video came out before the extended edition came out, where we saw that scene. The only other way Jeremy could have known this would have been if he read the book.
You don't really suppose, do you, that all your adventures and escapes were managed by luck?
Well, 95% of them were, for sure.
One more time, Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Magic rings should not be used lightly, Bilbo.
I'm definitely not going to investigate this ring that you have for another 60 years, and only after I've almost touched it to see the Eye of Sauron. The fact that Sauron needs a ring to rule the world, and just happened to appear right after our adventure in Gollum's cave, does not make me suspicious in the slightest. Good day.
What? Sauron being in Dol Guldur has nothing to do with the riddle game in the Goblin Cave. And again, from Gandalf's perspective, Bilbo could have taken a number of magical rings. He doesn't realize that it's specifically the one ring. I mean, what are the odds of that? They're 3,720 to 1.
Well, I'm back.